Good morning, all of you. Today we are going to discuss about the growth and development. So first of all, we will discuss learning objectives, introduction, human development, the concept of growth and development, principles of growth and development, then stages of development, developmental characteristics of children and adolescents, physical, cognitive, emotional, and social aspects. Then developmental characteristic of infancy. Birth to 2 years, then developmental characteristic of early childhood, age 2 to 6 years, then developmental characteristics of late childhood, age 6 to 12 years, then developmental characteristic of adolescents, age 12 to 18 years, then role of teachers in facilitating growth and development. Then we will sum up, then given suggested reading. So, in objective, in this unit, you this unit will help you learn the concept, the broad principles, the stages, and developmental characteristic of growth and development. After going through this unit, you should be able to explain the concept of growth and development, differentiate between growth and development, explain the principles of growth and development, describe the stages of human growth and development, describe the characteristic of each stage of human growth and development. So then you also will be able to discuss the educational implications of the principle of growth and development, and you will be able to explain the role of teacher in facilitating of growth and development during adolescence. Human beings keep changing during their lives. They change in size, appearance, and physical or psychological makeup. The way they change differ from individual to individual. However, the fundamental underlying patterns of growth and development remain more and less the same and take place in an orderly way. Each individual with his unique heredity and the way he is nurtured determines the way he transfers the broad highway of his life at his rate of progress. He will attain the size, shape, capacities, and developmental status in a way which is peculiar to him at each stages of life. In this unit, we shall discuss the concept, principles, and various stages of growth and development. Children differ in physical, cognitive, social, and emotional growth patterns. They also differ in the way they interact with and respond to their environment, as well as play, affection. Having an understanding of the sequence of growth and development prepares teacher to help and give attention to all the children. So, first of all, we will discuss about the human development. Can you recall events from your early childhood, say the second or third year? You might have a few vague and blurred memories about your childhood. The experiences of that period form the basis of the type of person you are today. How human beings grow, change, and adjust themselves to their environment is the focus of development and behavior, as also the concepts, principles, and theories of growth of development. The human being is never static. From conception to death, he undergoes changes. There are progressive changes in response to environmental condition. His body organs and psychological functions show the curves of capacity and achievement, as well as slow erosion and decay. Cognitive abilities develop and then degenerate. Basic metabolism reaches a peak and then declines. The endocrine function flourishes, and then fats. There is a rise and fall of physical energy in terms of both the force and speed of action with age. In fact, no organ or function of human beings has yet been found which is independent of age determines at the time of conception. A child has genetic potentialities that are partly predictable and partly unpredictable. These genetic potentialities are determined by the nature of his biological inheritance. Still, there is room for a tremendous range in the way he uses the genetic potentialities, depending upon the environment that may help or hinder the development of those potentialities. So, the concept of growth and development, the terms growth and development are often used interchangeably. Actually, they are conceptually different. Neither growth nor development takes place all by itself. Growth refers to quantitative change in size, which include physical change in height, weight, size, internal organs, etc. As an individual develops, old features like baby fat, hair, and teeth, etc., disappear, and new features like facial hair are acquired. When maturity comes, the second set of teeth, primary and secondary sex characteristics, etc., appear. Similar changes occur in all aspects of the personality. During infancy and childhood, the body steadily becomes larger, taller, and heavier. To designate this change, the term growth is used. Growth involves change in body proportions, as well as in overall stature and weight. The term growth thus indicates an increase in bodily dimensions. However, the rate of growth differ from one part of the body to the other. Then development, by contrast, refer to qualitative changes taking place simultaneously with quantitative changes of growth. It may be defined as progressive series of orderly, coherent change. The term progressive signifies that changes are directional and they lead forward rather than backward. Orderly and coherent suggests that definite relationship between the changes taking place and those that precede or will follow them. Development represents changes in an organism from its origin to its death, but more particularly the progressive change that take place from origin to maturity. This development may be explained as the series of overall changes in an individual due to the emergence of modified structure and functions that are outcome of the interactions and exchanges between the organism and its environment. So the principles of growth and development, following are the fundamental principles of growth and development. Development follows a pattern or a sequence. Development tends to proceed from the head downward. This is called the cephalocaudal principle. According to this principle, the child first gains control of the head, then the arms, and then legs. Infants gain control of head and face movements within first two months after birth. In the next few months, they are able to lift themselves up using their arms. By 6 to 12 months of age, infants start to gain leg control and may be able to crawl, stand, or walk. Development also proceeds from center of the body outward according to the proximo-distal principle. Accordingly, the spinal cord develops before other parts of the body. The child's arm develop before the hands, and the hands' feet develop before the fingers and toes. Fingers and toes are the last to develop. Then developmental proceeds from general to the specific response. It moves from the generalized to localized behavior. The newborn infant moves its whole body at one time instead of moving only one part of it. It makes a random kicking with its leg before it can coordinate the leg muscles well enough to crawl or to walk. Then development is a continuous process. Development does not occur in spurts. Spurs, and growth continues from the moment of conception until the individual reaches maturity. It takes place at a slow, regular pace rather than by leaps and bounds. Although development is a continuous process, yet the tempo of growth is not even. During infancy and early years, growth moves swiftly, and later it slackens. Then different aspects of growth development at different rates. Neither all the part of the body grow at the same rate, nor do all aspects of mental growth proceed equally. They reach maturity at a different time. Development also depends on maturation. Maturation refers to the sequence of biological changes in children. These orderly changes give children new abilities. Much of the maturation depends on changes in the brain and the nervous system. These changes assist children to improve their thinking abilities and motor skills. A rich learning environment helps children develop to their potential. Children must mature to a certain point before they can gain some skill. For instance, the brain of 4-month-old has not matured enough to allow the child to use words. A 4-month-old will bubble and co. However, by 2 years of age, with the help of other, the child will be able to say and understand many words. This is an example of how cognitive development occurs from simple tasks to more tasks and that are complex. Likewise, physical skills development from journal to specific moments. For example, think about the way an infant waves its arms and legs. In a young infant, this movement are random. In several months, the infant will likely be able to grab a block with her whole hand. In a little more time, the same infant will grasp a block with the thumb and forefinger. Most traits are correlated in development. Generally, it is seen that the child whose intellectual development is above average is so in health, size, sociability, and spatial aptitudes. Growth is complex. All of its aspects are closely interrelated. The child's mental development is intimately related to his physical growth and its need. Then growth is a product of the interaction of the organism and the environment. Among the environmental factors, one can mention nutrition, climate, the condition in the home, the type of social organization in which individual moves and lives. There are wide individual differences in growth. Individual differences in growth are caused by differences in heredity and environment. Growth is both quantitative and qualitative. These two aspects are inseparable. The child not only grows in size, he grows up or mature in structure and function too. Then development is predictable. It is possible for us to predict at an early age the range within which the mature development of child is likely to fall. However, mental development cannot be predicted with the same degree of accuracy. So then we will discuss about the stages of development. Any development process proceeds through some stages, and each development stage differ from the other. Each stage of development has its Psychologists have separated human lifespan into stages or periods and identified spatial changes in that may be expected during each stage. The transition from one stage to the next is gradual rather than sudden. The age groups assigned to each stage of a development are general as says that age group of year birth to 2 years. This is the stage of development of infancy. Here. Neonate, this stage is a period from birth to 2 weeks. This is the babyhood. This stage is of rapid growth and development. There are changes in body proportions as well as intellectual growth. Then from age of 2 to 6 years, this is called a stage of development of early childhood. This is the preschool period. It is also called the pre-gang age. In this stage, the child seeks gain control over his environment. He also start to learn to make social adjustment. Then from age 6 to 12, this is also called a late childhood. This is the primary school age. Here, child is expected to acquire the rudiments of knowledge that are considered essential for successful adjustment to adult life. He or she are also expected to learn certain essential skills. Then, from age 12 to 18, adolescence. This is the period of psychological, physical, physiological change. It is the period when children become sexually mature. It is also the period of intensified personal interaction with peers of the same and opposite sex. And from age 18 to 14 years, this is called a young adulthood. The responsibilities of adulthood include important decisions like choosing a career, a life partner, etc. A young adulthood begins with setting goals and aspirations. Then from age 40 to 60 years, this is also called middle adulthood. After settling down in 30s and having lived through with rooting phase, the individual starts feeling sense of uprooting and dissatisfaction during the 40s. A physical decline in the form of wrinkles, thickening vest lines, graying and thinning hair start appears. The changes are often termed middle life transition, middle age revolt, mid career crisis, or middle age slump. This term point you the loss of youth and the coming of the old age. In women, hormonal changes of menopause, ending of menstruation generate anxiety and depression. Then over 60 years, late adulthood. Aging is a process which causes loss of vitality. Aged adults are more concerned about their health and death. Their visit to doctor is more frequent. Retirement has the worst impact on aged adults. They gradually lose their sense of meaningfulness in life. Some develop interest in social service and spend their time in financial planning, reading, traveling, visiting religious places, and enjoy nature. So now we are going to discuss about the developmental characteristic of children and adolescents on behalf of their physical, cognitive, emotional, and social aspects. Children and adolescents grow and develop at very different rates. Each individual is unique with a distinct personality and life experience. For this reason, age is not the only sign of where a particular child or adolescent is in term of development. The different aspects of development are as follows. First, the physical development, genetic makeup, ethnicity, race, gender, nutrition, and diet, exercise, sleep pattern, use of tobacco, alcohol, or other drugs, stress and stressful life events, environmental toxins, and socio-economic status. Then cognitive development, academic setting, family environment, parents or caregiver involvement, access to early education opportunities, teacher support, personal motivation, gender and cultural or ethnic context. Then emotional development, individual temperament, parents and family relationships, support network, life experiences, and transitions, media exposure and influence or tendency toward risk taking or delinquent behaviors. Then social development, peer influence, popularity, community, and societal context. Then developmental characteristic of infancy, from birth to 2 years. Physical development, the development of control and mastery over one's own body in both gross and fine motor skill is the infant's primary physical task, culminating towards the end of the first year in the walking. The infant perfects the gross and fine motor skills that emerge during the first year by developing balance, coordination, stability, and improved ability to manipulate objects. Then cognitive development, cognitive begins with alertness, awareness, recognition, and interest in visual, auditory, and tactile touch stimuli. As motor development improves, the infant begins to explore and manipulate objects and development rudimentary understanding of their properties. Infants develop object permanence toward the end of the first year. The emergence of the symbolic thought is central to cognitive development. This results in the ability to understand and produce language. Then social development. The most important social task is the development of the attachment to the primary caretaker, most often the child's mother. The child develops the affectionate and trusting relationships with other family members and with adults outside the family. The child can also be engaged in simple games and play. Then emotional development, the development of basic trust, derivative of the positive attachment between the infant and the primary caretaker, occurs during the first year. This is a cornerstone of emotional development. The primary developmental task involves the development of autonomy, which includes mastery and control over oneself and one's environment. Children develop a rudimentary self concept, experiencing pride and pleasure at being good and embarrassment, shame, and distress at being bad. Then, development characteristic of early childhood, 2 to 6 years, physical development. The child develops increased strength and use motor skills to master changes in the environment, such as bicycles, stairs, balls, playground equipment, eating utensils, crayons, and other objects. The child is developmentally ready to master toilet training. Most basic gross motor abilities have emerged. Existing skills are practiced and perfected, and the child develops mastery in applying motor skills to increasingly challenging and complex situations. Then cognitive development, perfection of language skills and the use of language to communicate with others is the principal cognitive task. Language develops rapidly, grammar and syntax are refined, and vocabulary increases geometrically. The child uses language as a communication tool. Thinking is concrete and egocentric in nature. Problem solving is illogical and magical thinking and fantasies are prevalent. Then social development, the child develops rudimentary relationships with other children, which are usually characterized by parallel play, that is playing in the presence of rather than in interaction with other children. Children also begin to imitate social roles at this time. Toilet training represents a significant internalization of social rules and expectations. The child expands social relationships outside the family and develops interactive and cooperative play skills with peers. The child begins to understand, explore, imitate, and practice social roles. The child learns concept of right and wrong and begins to understand the nature of rules. He experiences guilt when he has done something wrong. Then emotional development. The preschool child has been described as on the make. Erikson refers to the child's primary mode of operation during this stage as initiative. The child is intrusive and takes charge, is very curious and continually tries new things, actively manipulates the environment, and is self directed in many activities. The child's ability to understand right and wrong leads to self assessments and affects the development of self esteem. Then, developmental characteristic of late childhood, age 6 to 12 years, physical development. The child practices, refines, and masters complex gross and fine motor and perceptual motor skills. Then, cognitive development, concrete operational thinking replaces egocentric condition. The child's thinking becomes more logical and rational. The child develops the ability to understand others perspectives. Then social development, relationships outside the family increase in importance, including the development of friendships and participation in peer group. The child imitates and learns and adopts age appropriate social roles, including those that are gender specific. The child develops an understanding of rules. Rules are relied upon to dictate proper social behavior and to govern social relationships and activities. Then, emotional development, the child is industrious, purposeful, and goal directed in her activities. She is confident and self directed. The child is developing a better sense of herself as an individual with likes and dislikes and special areas of skill. She is capable of introspection. The child evaluates her worth by her ability to perform. Self esteem is largely derived from one's perceived abilities. Then, developmental characteristic of adolescence, age 12 to 18 years. Physical development of physiological changes at puberty promote rapid growth, the maturity of sexual organs, and development of secondary sex characteristics. Then cognitive development during early adolescence, precursors to formal operational thinking appears, including a limited ability to think hypothetically and to take multiple perspectives. During middle and late adolescence, formal operational thinking becomes well developed and integrated in a significant percentage of adolescents. So social development, social relationships in early adolescence are centered in the peer group values guide individual behavior. Acceptance by peers is a critical to self-esteem. Most peer relationships are still same-sex. Young adolescents become interested in sexual relationships, but most contact is through groups. Some youth may begin to experiment with sexual behavior, but many early adolescents are not sexually active with other youth. Social roles are still largely defined by external sources. During middle and late adolescence, values become individualized and internalized after careful consideration and independent thought. Friends are more often selected on personal characteristic and mutual interest. The peer group declines in importance. Individual friendships are strengthened, and more youth date in one-on-one relationships. The youth experiments with social roles and explore option for career choice. Then emotional development. The early adolescence is strongly identified with the peer group. Youth depend upon their peer for emotional stability and support and to help old the youth's emerging identity. Self-esteem is greatly affected by the acceptance of peers. Early adolescents are emotionally liable with exaggerated affect and frequent mood swings. They are very vulnerable to emotional stress. During middle and late adolescence, identity is more individualized, and a sense of self develops and stabilizes that is separate from either family or peer group. Self-esteem is influenced by the youth's ability to live up to internalize standards for behavior. Self-assessment and introspection are common. Then now we will discuss about the role of the teacher in facilitating growth and development. What we know about the child is vast and impressive. However, what we do not know is even more vast and overwhelming. Every new insight opens up new questions. Therefore, as a teacher, we need to update our knowledge about the problems of children in context of the media explosion, economic strivings result in social, cultural, and value changes. With this, we will be able to make a reliable diagnosis and apply the knowledge of child psychology to better their adjustment with themselves and with the world around them. We as a teacher should know what to expect from the child student and what he needs physically, socially, and emotionally. The routine teacher taught relationship would not benefit him unless the students are dealt with empathically as a social being, as an individual self, and as a biological organism. A teacher should accept and make our students accept the reality of physical and biological changes so that the transition takes a smooth course without causing any psychological disadvantages. We need to create such challenging conditions which may lead to the effective coordination of physical, mental, and other functions in order to ensure adequate adjustment to probable life situations. Yet another task that teachers should ensure is to secure effective and desirable responses and prevent or eliminate ineffective or undesirable ones. One way is to arrange conditions in a way that make desirable responses satisfying and not annoying. Then positive training in self-direction and self-control should be given to students. Some of the following points should be kept in mind while guiding them. First, control and guidance must come from the student himself under the teacher supervision. And second, harsh, strict, and unsympathetic control and prescription of every detail of conduct, leaving no place for self-control and self-direction, are not conducive to students' mental health and adjustment to life's event. Then last, proper guidance, rational shifts of treatment, and principles of autonomy should be judicially applied to ensure smooth passage through the turbulent period of the student. It is around the adolescence stage that students reach the high level of their school education. A teacher need to receive adequate knowledge and skill with due preparedness in order to handle their emotional and social needs. As a teacher, we need to appreciate the fact that students at this stage are prone to revolt against established norms, rules, and authority. You should keep yourself ready to provide explanations and rationale for the beliefs and values which your student would question. Students at this time need proper guidance to decide on the right course of action. They need supportive judgment to do things which provide them self-confidence and self-assurance. The range of individual differences in mental ability among adolescents is wide. need to use some plans of classification to secure homogeneous groups in respect of significant abilities and achievements, so that curricular and instructional needs can be suitably met. Students have indicated that in certain tasks, a student's performance would improve when other teachers are around. This phenomenon is called social facilitation. However, this is not a universal phenomenon. Still, other studies have shown that when a student is first trying to learn something new, the presence of others is detrimental. In such a situation, the teacher has to assess the situation considering the class as a social unit and the personality traits of his student, and accordingly, he should facilitate their growth and development. So, in conclusion, in sum up, we in this unit we have studied the concept of human growth and development, the stages of development, and the characteristic of each stage have also been discussed. The principles of development, their importance, and need to study them significantly have been discussed. As you have seen, adolescence is a period of transition between childhood and adulthood. Accompanying it is a number of problems during this period. Adolescents are considered neither as children nor as adults. Their status remains ambiguous. They are prone to rebel against authority. What as a teacher we can do to attend to these problems, and how we can help the development of a balanced personality of our students have been dealt with in order to create a better understanding of the students' needs and problems. So, suggested readings is that Mr. Craig J. Chris, Human Development and Presence Hall, NIC Eaglewood Craft, New Jersey, 1983, and Book of Human Development, written by W. James Suden Warder, uh, referred at A. Kepnog, New York, and a book of educational psychology or developmental approach, written by Richard and Sprinthal A. Norman and C. Sprinthal, 1990, uh, published by MC Gronhill's company on New York. And thank you very much for listening. Thank you.